Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Rare Adam this evening, and we are in week 6 of 7. And the game is going to take place in Group A, Group Number A, Group A. We are in week 6 of 7 tonight. We have Conduit Spark up against Frostbane, and we are ready to get this game underway. This is a pretty important game. Conduit Spark needs to win tonight in order to secure their second placing for the group, and it's going to muddy the waters a bit if they lose. So we have an important game that's going to have a bunch of implications for Group A here. We're ready to get this game underway, and I'm joined by Rare Adam. Adam, how you doing?
Pretty good. I'm excited to see what these two teams have in store. Of course, Imperial Gaming have themselves locked into first place, so just sort of
Mhm.
figuring out the muddy waters in a way, and that's always the fun part about the latter half of the season. Sometimes you've got everything locked in. You walk into a game and you're like, okay, this game means nothing. But these sort of
Mhm.
games really keep you going strong. So really curious to see how these two teams match up and who will really sort of pop off in these games because this is the time where you get that sort of clutch gene coming through.
Yeah, I mean, this we're down to the wire, and we have that last game that needs to it is the deciding game. We've already pointed out, we're probably going to mention it a whole lot tonight, but yeah, this is a really important game right here because Conduit Spark, they're 2-2 with regards to their match record here. They need to be able to grab that 3-2 and then be able to secure that second place in order to move on here. So yeah, as we take a look, and now we're getting into picks and bans here. Diana and Lulu being banned away by Frostbane here, as Shen and Anivia being banned away by Conduit Spark here. We're about to get that last ban, but things are looking pretty standard over there for Frostbane.
Yeah, and even on the flip side, Conduit's bans here. They're banning out the birthday boy Shen, of course, but Zeri being a very typical ban. Anivia, I've seen it banned a bunch as well, but first pick Volibear here. A little bit interesting. They want to try and pick up a flex pick technically, but also a priority jungler. Volibear has actually risen a lot in priority, even in the higher elos in terms of LFL as well. They have been picking up Volibear as well, so
Mhm.
not too surprised to see it come through, but especially when we're talking about gold elo, very, very comfortable jungler for a lot of them. Has good ganks, good tower dive potential. It's a strong champion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's also pretty easy to execute on, right? There's not a whole lot of mechanical problems here that it's a strong jungler, and even if your jungler doesn't have a whole lot of practice on this particular champion, it's not like it's rocket science, right? Where it run at enemy, press button. Like that you can't get easier than that. I mean, so even if the jungler for Frostbane hadn't played any games of Volibear, they probably would be able to grasp the champion fairly easily. Meanwhile, on the other end, Conduit Spark here picking up Mordekaiser and Twitch. Talk to me about these picks right here, Adam.
So Mordekaiser especially can be really strong in a side lane because you have that potential to just
Mhm.
win the 1v1 straight up. You have that 1v1 potential, but later on into the game, you can take out one of those key carries or even the front line for the rest of your team to do that damage. So Mordekaiser being able to take someone to Brazil is a pretty awesome situation for herself. And Twitch as well has risen in priority as well with some of the top 80 carry nerfs, such as to Jinx, to Zeri, to Aphelios. Twitch has sort of snuck up just a little bit there as the champion does. And couple different builds you can go for. AP Twitch, generally with that burst damage. AD Twitch, more
Mhm.
consistent, but also burst damage. So it can be a really scary champion. It's definitely one of those AD carries that when they do really well, you're just like, man, that's a champion. I forgot about it.
Yeah. I mean, Twitch having the invisibility and that burst damage, like you said, a lot of people like to use that Hail of Blades kind of build in order to maximize the amount of damage that they have outside of that kind of little window there. And paired along with Yumi can be a very deadly combo in that bottom lane there. But it looks like they're going to opt for Sona here. Still a very strong duo here. Going to be a little bit more coordinated. A little bit more communicated when Twitch is sneaking up on you. Sona has pretty low ranges when it comes to her abilities, but definitely still an interesting support to lock in. You know, we've been talking a lot about enchanters being pretty good in that bot lane position, but we haven't really seen a whole lot of Sona here. So perhaps this could be a comfort pick for Conduit Spark here. What do you think, Adam?
So I think that with the Sona specifically, it's more so as an answer to the Braum, because with Yuumi specifically, final chapter, you've got to get those 3 waves down. Braum can just block them up and it's perfectly fine. With Sona, you don't have as much time to react. You have that potential for a snap engage onto something like a Braum where they can't block the crescendo. The Lulu would be the option that I would think here, though, because you're still able to prop down all of those Enchantress things onto the Twitch and still enable the Twitch to do as much damage, but you also have that extra safety, especially if there's a Volibear bearing down on you. Sometimes you want to have that wild growth to keep the Twitch alive for just that little bit longer to get the last bit of damage out. So Sona might be more of a comfort thing, but I understand why it was picked up over the Yuumi, not so much over the Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, well, Lulu's banned away, so we can't pick up the Lulu
There we go.
here.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously Lulu's probably the best one here. I'm just a big fan of the Yuumi pick with Twitch because Yuumi goes invisible with you. It's really insane. It's really terrible. It's a real terrible combination here. Soulkeeper definitely has been playing the Twitch a whole lot. 9 out of their 10 most recent games, 40 games in total, 70% win rate, looking really good for Conduit Esports here to pick as a pickup here for a pretty comfortable champion for them. So definitely looking pretty good for them so far to pick up such a strong pick. I don't think we talk too much about it, but we do have a Jhin and a Braum in the other side of the equation here in the bottom lane. Definitely liking the Braum here. Very good against a lot of ranged champions and very good to help protect this Jhin. Because one thing that Jhin is not so great at is that the second that he presses his ultimate, is kind of a target is placed on his back, right? You can just follow the lines of the cone all the way back to Jhin. So I mean, Braum right there. Right? Yeah. That's why a lot of folks, if you don't know this, Nami is a very good counter pick in a Jhin because Tidal Wave goes very, very long range. You can follow that line real easy. But Braum, that's a real good character to block a lot of those skill shots meant for Jhin, which means Jhin can be a little bit more liberal with where he's positioning himself for that curtain call.
Yeah, and granted, the Jhin with the Braum is a little bit of an odd pairing at the same time because you don't get that innate attack speed that a lot of other Braum lanes like to go for. Lucian Braum, the double auto attack, you end up building a decent amount of attack speed. You can stack up the concussive blows quicker. With Jhin, it's more so you're trying to land that root first and then going for the rest of the damage. But solo lanes are getting locked in, and wow, Syndra Orion in the mid lane, nothing ever changes in League of Legends.
Yeah, I think the mid lane is just a simulation at this point. We're just living in the simulation. Orianna, Syndra, maybe once again, we're gonna get the Tryndamere meta because that champion still has yet to be nerfed, and you know, it's just a fun time when people just are so, oh yeah, we'll just pick mages back and forth, boop, 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 Tryndamere, and then, you know, that's always how it happens. But you seem particularly excited over here for this Aatrox pick.
Yeah, because it means Mordekaiser is not going top lane.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we have Mordekaiser jungle, which it's pretty good, honestly. The clear isn't bad. You get a lot of extra damage off of the passive with Darkness Rising because it does do more damage to monsters. And it's not too hard to stack up because you sit on a jungle camp, you whack away at it with your auto attacks, and you're able to pick that up with ease. Yeah. So curious to see how the gank patterns go because it can be somewhat challenging to make Mordekaiser gank stick. You don't really have a whole lot of gank set up for yourself, like a Jarvan who has the flag and drag, or even the Volibear across the rift there. You can just drop down on all fours and go for the stun. Mordekaiser, you need to land a skill shot grab, which is really telegraphed. You know that you have to just walk up and try and land it. Can be a little bit difficult to set up. So Aatrox, especially on that top side, gonna have to make sure those Infernal Chains are coming down. The Darkened Blade, Sweet Spot procs are setting up for these ganks to make sure Mordekaiser can make them stick, because I think that the Renekton Aatrox lane, generally neutral but volatile in the sense that it can go either way, and especially when you have a self-sufficient ganking jungler in the Volibear across the rift, you want to make sure that if you're getting a counter gank or if you're looking for a proactive gank on this Renekton, that you can actually make it work.
Right. And I guess this more of kind of leads to the question too, because Mordekaiser, like you said, doesn't have the best ganks, but does have some good clears. what are we looking for Insomniac here? Is Insomniac looking to maybe, if he is looking for ganks, if they are looking for ganks, are they looking to maybe fight Pengu in the jungle here? Are they looking to maybe gank a particular lane that might not have as much mobility so that they can get their hook off a little bit better? What 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 is your idea of the decision process for Insomniac here in these kind of early levels when they're looking for maybe ganks or 1v1s in the jungle?
I think the main priority is going to go towards that mid lane. Just straight
Mhm.
up, you have Syndra, who has one of the best gank setups in the game. Whether you're landing the stun or even just knocking them back closer to the Mordekaiser, can help out
Mhm.
quite a bit. Top lane is going to be challenging. That's sort of the lane that I want to see ganks go down onto, but it's going to be one of the more difficult ones. Renekton can slice and dice out of there. Aatrox doesn't have the most reliable gank setup either. And then on this bottom side, you're trying to gank a Jhin Braum, and Braum is really difficult to gank for because it's easy to turn things around. It's easy to stall things out and maybe set up for Secretly Gay Pang would come down to that bottom side, look for counter ganks. So I want to see Insomniac try and put some priority towards mid lane in terms of the ganks. Orianna trying to get her flash as early as possible, level 2, level 3, or even
Mhm.
if Syndra can burn it herself, it just puts a massive target there. And realistically, Conduit Spark, their bot lane is looking to scale up. Trying to gank for them, not going to be too successful in the early game, I don't think, because
Mhm.
what's Sona going to do? She's going to walk up and slam her keyboard
Yeah.
at you.
Press Q. Press Q and pray that she did enough damage that now you can finish them off.
Yeah.
I mean, that is most of Sona's early game too, and hope that she's not out of mana while she does it too. Like, a lot of times folks have been building tier on Sona for good reason. Like even in support positions. Are like, oh, that seems like a mid lane item. It's like, no, it's a Sona item. She
That's
spends so much mana, on a lot of these spells. And while her mana costs have been reduced post her like mini rework again, you know, and they removed a lot of her big mana costs, but refunding the mana if she gives her allies that boost, she is going to be in this early game just really, really tough to really find footing, should I say.
yeah.
And so I guess this leads to my next question too, because I did want to talk about this as well. I think you already hit the nail on the head that Conduit Spark here does have a lot of scaling on their team here. They don't have the best early game jungler, Syndra, the scaling champion, right? That's my limit, my potential is limitless, she even says. And even this bot lane as well. How long do you think Conduit Spark is going to need in order for them to kind of like really pop off, and how realistic is it going to be that they're going to reach that considering their opponents here?
I think realistically, this matchup is really predicated on Twitch getting 2-3 items. I think
Hmm.
you get your Gale Force plus crit item plus Infinity Edge. That's really where you can start to see that damage come through. But it will be very challenging because Orianna's going to spike on 1.5, 2 items per se. Syndra, she will have some of that potential to take down this Jhin, but into a Braum makes it really difficult because Braum can block that ultimate. Realistically, Frostbane have a significantly more well-rounded comp, I want to say.
Hmm.
With the Braum, you've got good peel, you've got some engage with your Renekton and your Volibear. You also have two great members to drop the ball into the middle of the team, as well as Jhin for that backline damage. So Frostbane, they've got a lot of tools to take over this game if they can get an early game lead. But if they aren't able to, if Conduit Spark are able to slow down the game, play at their own pace, this Twitch, once
Right.
you get to 3 items, it does not matter if there's a Braum shield in front of it because they'll just cut through the Braum and then cut through everyone else.
Right. I mean, there's only so much a Braum shield can do after they're dead, right?
Yes.
And while the shield gives them certainly a large amount of resistances, it doesn't really help against true damage, which a lot of that DOT is going to be doing with Twitch there, right? You can only block so much damage as well. And I think you hit the nail on the head that Frostbane kind of needs to get like this early lead, and just looking at these early lanes is really where we're going to be seeing, how the pace of this game is going to be going. Conduit Spark, I like the team comp to be sure. Like they have some good synergies here and they have some good champions as well. My biggest question mark is going to be that Mordekaiser, right? This is a jungler that can't exactly facilitate this early game and help slow down the pace of the game. It's a jungler that, once again, wants this game to go late. However, We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we might find the answers to all of these questions and maybe more as we get into the Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of Frostbane up against Conduit Spark in here at Zero Gravity Gaming. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Rare Adam. We are on the Rift of game number 1, week number 6 of Group A. AHF up against CSK, that's Conduit Spark, up against Frostbite, and we are ready to get game number 1 on the underway. Adam, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what these two teams have. Curious about how this Mordekaiser jungle will work in actual gameplay. We can theorize all we want about how it's going to gank, how it's going to work, but who knows? Maybe Insomniac is just as jacked as he is cracked and just going to go around getting ganks and kills everywhere.
Insomniac, jacked, and cracked. That's what the jungler for Conduit Spark is ready to show us today. We got a pretty casual, ready to go 5-point start for these two teams. Nothing too out of the ordinary just yet. But yeah, I'm surprised there's no invade coming out from excuse me, Age Frostbane this time around. Brahma's got to be one of the best level 1 characters to do those kind of level invades with. But you know, we just have some vision being thrown out into the river by the red team here, just trying to spot out their already invades, but we are ready to get underway. Red buff spawning, folks in lanes. The game is underway.
And going to be opposite side starts for both of these junglers here. So you can see Mordekaiser are going to try and maybe clear that top side, look for a mid lane gank, whereas you can see, obviously, Secretly Gay Pangu wants to go to that top side of the map, starting on that bottom side. And realistically, they should have some pretty good agency into this lane. By the time the Volibear is going to go up there, should be level 3, we'll have that agency to take down this Aatrox, who, as we said, are really predicated on getting those sweet spots down. That's how you end up winning those trading patterns.
Yeah, I mean, and this is going to seem like Renekton is in sort of like a melee versus ranged matchup just because of those sweet spots having such long range. But really, Renekton in those kinds of matchups is able to heal through some of that damage and really turn it around on its head, turn those matchups on their head, just because how much burst damage Renekton has in these kind of early levels.
And against what, well, I guess conversely to that is the fact that Aatrox doesn't do a whole lot of damage in that early game. Even with the sweet spots there, they do like 50 damage if they land onto the Renekton, which isn't a whole lot. There's 74 damage. It's nothing too crazy. It is still damage though, so you have to try and take advantage of that early, but mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking advantage of Merciful Crow already in this early game, forcing the flash away. Really good early gank by Insomniac here, trying to get some attention into that mid lane there. And already starting to throw out what we kind of predicted here, that Orianna really going to be that attention in this early game here. Not going to have a whole lot of mobility here, and especially without that flash, it's going to be pretty susceptible to Mordekaiser ganks.
Yeah, and it was a really well-placed pull as well on that as topside. Ooh, my goodness, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, but this is just kind of what we predicted as well, right? Like this matchup can be pretty volatile here and can go either way. It really comes down to how they're playing. But here comes Volibear in from the side, gonna get the flash and the stun. Ooh. Flashing forward, downfall, looking for a little bit more, but they're underneath the turret. They're gonna go down, and First Blood goes over to secretly gang Pangu as they come out of the closet and into the top lane. Let's go.
Honestly, really well played. They're able to get that last little bit of damage down, able to get First Blood over onto secretly gang Pangu there. So it does end up being a little bit more gold going over to Frostbane there. But overall, I think that Frosted Crow did a really good job of playing against that, finding at least something in return. And this top lane is going to be even more of a target now for both of these junglers because there's no summoners on either side. If anything, Insomniac now has a little bit of that advantage as they've taken Ghost for themselves. So they can just walk top lane and look for those auto attacks. As you can already see, they're trying to find a regank with the ward in the river. Very well placed. But overall, good early game coming through from both of these teams in a lot of ways. I think that this Mordekaiser burning the summoner mid lane, you have to try and revisit that at some point. And ideally before level 6s start to come through, where Merciful Crow will have a little bit more outplay potential.
Yeah, I did really want to talk about really quick that kill going over to Frosted Crow there might have just evened it out just a little bit. We're seeing the response right here. Frosted Crow comes out for a huge kill here. They might be, I did want to mention this because they're down in CS, and now they're going to be able to catch up, and now they're going to have those kills in their pockets as well. This is a really good start for Aatrox, even though they got first blooded up there.
And something interesting to see is that Downfall opted to go for the Warhammer as opposed to picking up the Executioner's Calling, and realistically, Aatrox is one of those lanes where sometimes you'll just take Ignite for taking Ignite because you want that Grievous Wound potential there. So not picking that up on the Renekton is a little bit questionable because Aatrox is so... It's balanced around how much they heal in the mid game, and not being able to cut that in the early game leads to trades like that, even where Frosted Crow, my goodness, able to just absolutely decimate Downfall's health bars as they get back to lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the thing of building like a Caulfield's Warhammer as opposed to like maybe picking up a cloth armor or maybe just a little bit more defenses, because like it's just not respecting the amount of damage. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, secretly Game Pengu looking for Prince Momo right here underneath the turret. They're going to try to back away. Here comes Insomniac in from the river, looking for a little bit more. The claw comes through on a Ghost EP. They're looking for a little bit more. There's a whole lot of AoE damage coming across right now. That's a great shield coming out from Braun. They're looking for just a little bit more, but not yet. But not yet. Slam comes down. Not this time. They're going to live up to their name, going to be able to survive this gank. And even though there was a whole bunch of damage coming down from Spark there, they're not going to be able to figure out the kill this time, so they're making their way over to the dragon right now.
And I want to point out that the Summoner trade there actually goes well in favor of Age Frostbane, as they only burn the heal off of the Jhin. But look at Soul Keeper and Prince Momo losing their Summoner Souls, I believe, before that trade happened. And now the Jhin going to have a significant lane advantage. Although Dragon not going to go down. It's going to be going to CSK over there. So they'll be feeling pretty good. Conduit Spark, we talked about how they want to sort of build up toward this late game. And thus far, at least on top side of the map, they have done just that. It's more so just about watching this bottom lane and hoping this Twitch doesn't fall too far behind, because as you can see, already down about 2.5 waves.
Yeah, it's already getting pretty tough in this top lane for Downfall right here, as Frosted Crow just continuing to shove in these waves over and over again and really not getting punished for it either. Secretly, Game Pengu has only come up to the top lane one more time, but speaking of getting punished, Enderborn and Reborn's getting a little... Ooh, they're in some trouble here. Has to flash over the wall, but secretly Game Pengu, do they want some more? Looks like that's going to be no. Alrighty. Looks like they're out of there. And once again, Frosted Crow continues to shove these waves into the turret here. And Downfall is losing a lot more CS the longer that they spend outside lane.
And it's a little bit challenging when when you actually have hard crowd control against Volibear, because you use that stun, then the Q's just going to reset right away. You could do that again too. So Ender Reborn sort of understanding how that works now, forced to burn that flash. Now we'll see if the gank comes through in mid lane though.
Oh yeah, that's a Cinder ultimate coming across, but it doesn't look like they have enough damage here. Had to pop that ultimate pretty early there. Merciful Crow had that flashback up, so they're not going to be able to finish off the kill right there, but this is going to get some good damage onto the mid lane turret for Enderborn here to grab some decent chunk of gold into their pockets here. Insomniac goes up to that Rift Herald there. That might be a little too soon, though. They do have eyes on him.
Yeah, the Rift Heralds is a potential angle. I mean, Mordekaiser can take those quite quickly on their own. Downfall, though, is just so far behind at this point that if Frosted Crow is in the area, the fight will just favor the side of Conduit Spark. They've got enough damage here, and it's a pretty free objective for them. We'll see how they choose to move forward.
Yeah, and this is looking really, really good for Conduit Spark, because we can talk about it. Oh, okay. Downfall taking some damage, but just a trade back and forth. Doesn't look like they're looking for a little bit more here. We did talk about in picks and bans that that Conduit Spark here, they're playing for the late game here. They have a whole lot of carries that like want this game to go pretty late here. I'd list them all off, but it's nearly the entire team. So like having this kind of early game here where they're keeping even or even winning some of these lanes here is really, really good for them. They're only super far behind in the bot lane, and that's only by like a few waves. If they get the right thing, they should be able to do is that's a good pull in. That's going to be the command shockwave coming through. Enderborn taking up the turret, but Insomniac is going to be the one picking up the kill as Merciful Crow goes down to the mid lane.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to see out of Insomniac in this early game. Yes, it is 10 minutes now. Technically, we're starting to get into late early game Downfall.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be the chains and Frosted Crow one more time. Secretly, Game Pengu is going to be pulled into the Shadow Realm here. Insomniac looking for those locator cards, looking for those star chips. Not going to be able to find it this time, but just going to delay Volibear from diving onto the Syndra here. Going to give enough time for his teammate to get away.
Interesting play on the top side there for Downfall to go back in there. You're down 2 levels against Frosted Crow. Yeah, your evens look kind of similar there, but the Aatrox is already far ahead here, so it's a difficult play to make as the Renekton here. And once again, burning the teleport to get back to lane, this is going to bode really well for Frosted Crow, who should have enough to back and pick up their Gore Drinker. And from there, this lane is going to get a lot more difficult for Downfall because, as we said, no Executioner's Calling, no Bramble Vest. We'll talk about that as well.
Wait, yeah, that is a good ultimate coming through here. They're trying to turn around a Soulkeeper right now. There's one form of CC, there's two, but they're able to find a kill on the butt, not yet, just yet. Ghost TP is now in some trouble here as they have to run for their life, but Prince Momo and Soulkeeper are not letting up. That DOT is at full stacks. It's ticking. Is Braum gonna go down? He's trying. Oh, he's living though. And so that's gonna be a 1-for-0 down to the bot lane. A great start for Soulkeeper after a pretty quiet early game.
Yeah, it's really well played because it looked a little bit rough as soon as the Twitch ult came through because Braum puts up that shield, and as we were saying, just gives him that possibility to block up a lot of damage, but not yet. The Jhin there, unfortunately, taking a whole lot of damage before that even happened, was around half HP. Really good crescendo coming through from Prince Momo to make that snap engage work, and from there, Soulkeeper and Prince Momo able to find themselves a kill. And this game is looking really rough for Frostbane now because we talked about how they need to get these leads early. Jhin is a champion that can snowball incredibly well if they're ahead. You don't want to fall behind on this Twitch, and while you may be even in gold because of the CS lead that you've got, you don't want to be even with the Twitch in the early game. You want to be ahead of the Twitch, and Insomniac's going to try and push forward more leads.
Yeah, Ghost TP in the bot lane here, going to have to throw out that shield here, but has already taken so much damage. Soulkeeper went invisible, is now looking for butt not yet. I don't think they have the claw available to them just quite yet. Yeah, Insomniac is going to be able to get out of there. They're looking for this Drake right now, which is the Infernal Drake, and they already got one soul. They only got one dragon that's really good by itself, but that's only because it means that Cloud Drake is not the soul for the map. So we still have some good souls. Let's see what they do, but it looks like they might be contested over the wall here. Okay.
Hextech Soul.
Yeah, Hextech. Looks like the Hex Gate are open. Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. Not to mention that the Hextech Dragons are very good for both of these teams here. Getting that attack speed and that cooldown reduction is going to be very important for a lot of these characters here. Especially more so for the Twitch, even so, right? Because the Dragon Soul means that that's a lot more AoE damage. That's going to be hard for them to block here as Insomniac now to find Secret Gate Pengu in the middle of the jungle here as they pulled him into the Shadow Realm. Yami no Gemu, Mordekaiser looking for the Volibear. There's gonna be your last locator cards being sent over to Insomniac, is going right over to the Battle City Finals as we get a pause.
Yeah, and it looks like, unfortunately, Merciful Crow did disconnect in that play, so ends up fizzling out a little bit. But overall, really well played from the side of Conduit Spark in this early game to find a lot of proactive plays to get Frosted Crow this lead. And we talked about how volatile this top lane matchup can be. It doesn't really go one way or the other until someone gets a kill. And in this situation, Aatrox gets the kill. There's a kill returned by Secretly Gay Pengu, but the Volibear doesn't come back to the lane. The Volibear isn't able to find the reganks, and Frosted Crow gets enough confidence, I want to say, to just move forward, look for those kills. And 3-1-0 has the big shutdown on their head. They've got, looking at a 30 CS lead. They might be taking down this first tower as well with all of those plates. So it's a little bit rough for Frostbane here.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about Frosted Crow being so far ahead is that now Insomniac basically just doesn't need to throw any attention into the top lane, right? And Frosted Crow has also made that kind of impossible as well, right? With how many times they've been crashing these waves into the turret. Having Insomniac being able to go to the bottom half of the map and really assist Soulkeeper and Enderborn is what has been basically been able to get them the lead that they've had, right? Like, Frosted Crow doesn't need this help, right? But Twitch does, more so. Aatrox has already popped off. Aatrox is not so much of a late game character as Twitch and Syndra are, so having Insomniac go into this bottom half of the map, definitely a whole lot better for Conduit Spark here.
Yeah, and Conduit Spark, we talked about how well this Twitch is going to scale into the later stages. They haven't picked up their Mythic quite yet, but very likely to be picking that up very soon. more so just due to them picking up the boots as well as the Doran's Blade to start, as opposed to just going straight for the Mythic like the Jhin did. It's going to be difficult to tread as we get later on to this game, especially when you've got a Renekton, which as a champion is designed around being half an item ahead of your opponent there. You want to try and have that lead and push forward early game pressure into side lane advantage. But because the side lanes are already looking a little bit rough, even the Syndra up 20 farm on the Orianna does not bode well for what this Renekton wants to do in the later stages, because the side lanes are going to start to fall apart if you're Frostbane here. And Conduit Spark, they will try and continue to get these kills onto the Twitch, onto even the Syndra in this situation, who are their late game insurance. So I think Frostbane, they need to try and play a little bit more calculated. They need to find advantages and really stick it to Frostbane. You can't really have one for ones at this point because it won't benefit you that much. You need to have sort of straight up 2 for 0s, 3 for 0s going in your favor, and sometimes you have to make some risky plays. But Soulkeeper,
yeah, Soulkeeper's looking for the 1 for 0 for themselves down in the bot lane here as we get a bit of a... Oh. It's always the visual bug that's been here forever. It's the pause and then the secondary pause, but not yet flashing away. Soulkeeper comes right in. You can't use that Gale Force to get away from me. They're going to be a 1 for 0 in the bot lane and a turret for themselves up in the top. This is a whole bunch of gold going over to Conduit Spark, and it's looking really, really good for them as we are starting to leave this early game here as ultimates start to get made, and ultimate and basic abilities start to get some maxed out points in them. And you know, this is looking really good for Conduit Spark, and like you said, a lot harder as we obviously for Frostbane here.
And something else I want to point out is just the fact
we're gonna get a replay.
Yeah,
we got a
replay here. Ooh, yeah, Soulkeeper just drops down the auto attacks. Bop, 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 pow. That's Twitch in a nutshell. You just drop down those auto attacks. You can't do anything about it. He was invisible, right? So unless you have the heal, I don't think the heal was up off of cooldown. It still isn't actually. That's really just the Twitch difference right there. They're able to pick up the 1 for 1. But I want to point out the plates that went over to Conduit Spark as well. They were able to pick up, I believe, 9 plates through top lane and mid lane there. Going to give a huge advantage to those solo laners, even more so than just the farm advantages here. We can actually take a look at the gold graph individually between the players. We'll see that Aatrox at this point got to be 2,000 gold up, 2.4 thousand gold up. Even in the mid lane here, where Enderborn hasn't had an amazing early game, they're still up 1,300 gold over this Orianna, who's meant to be this super safe farmer. And a lot of that is just through plates and through the farm advantage that they have. So it's going to be a little bit challenging come this mid game now to find fights that favor Frostbane, even in odd man situations here, because of the amount of gold that's on these two solo laners. And everyone knows what Aatrox and Syndra can do when they're ahead. She will outplay.
That's a flash crescendo right there. Call Season 3. They want their support back. Holy moly. That's going to be a whole bunch of burst damage already. They're going to be picking up an easy kill in the mid lane. And now they're going to be picking up this mid lane turret as well, probably.
They're able to pick up 2 mid lane turrets here, and they're just pushing forward their advantages. They're accelerating this game way quicker than I think Frostbane were prepared for. We talked in draft about how Conduit Spark, they need to make sure they're slowing down the game to find advantages that work for them. This is the opposite of what we wanted them to do, but it's going the right way. It's like you want to try and keep it neutral. They're just going as fast as possible, but they're going towards a victory here because 6,000 gold up. You've got some really big items on your carries, and you're looking for more.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be Ghost TP trying to extend themselves a little too far out in their own jungle here, but now it's not theirs anymore. Somniac's going to be the one picking up the kills. Now Frosted Crow looking for downfall up in the top lane here. It has popped the World Ender here, trying to get over the wall. Maybe they're not going to be able to do it. Secretly Gay Pengu uses the ultimate over the wall as a precaution, but it's not necessary. Shutdown for downfall here. Going to pick up a whole bunch of gold into their pocket. 1-3-1. Now this Renekton's on the scoreboard. This might be the turnaround that they're looking for.
It may be, but they also lose bottom lane tower at the same time, so it isn't in vain for Frosted Crow to go down. It does go over to the Renekton, but at this point, I think you would have preferred the kill going over to Merciful Crow, who will end up scaling into those later stages as well. So it's good for Downfall to get back in this game just a little bit, but looking at the item discrepancy still, it's going to be an uphill battle. I think Renekton is going to have enough for that Gore Drinker now as they pick it up. But across the Rift, that's almost like a fully completed Death's Dance. And Death's Dance plus Aatrox is a match made in heaven. It's like the item was designed to work with really tanky bruisers that can stay alive forever in the front line. And especially when Aatrox has 3 kills that they got in lane, they're going to be able to do exactly that.
Yeah, we have the first Hextech Drake of the map as well. This is going to be CSK immediately on top of it, and there's not a whole lot that Frostbane could have done to kind of contest this anyway, so it's just going to be given up for free here. The third Drake of the game goes over to CSK here, and now that means that the fourth one is going to have to be contested by Frostbane if the game goes that long. You've been saying that they've been accelerating this game a whole lot, and you know, who knows? Maybe in the next 5 minutes this game will be over.
It's very challenging to go up against a Hextech Soul on a champion like Twitch, because Twitch will be able to apply it from a million years away. Oh my.
That's a 2-man crescendo right there. They're looking for Ghost TP here, but Insomniac might be underneath the tower just a little too long. The CC is really good, and Jin is going to find a shutdown for themselves. That's 400 gold into their pockets.
It's interesting that they opt to go for such an aggressive play, especially Insomniac there. Doesn't use the Death Realm on anyone there, was trying to find something, but as soon as the Jin ult starts coming down, you've got to play careful. But even still, with the kill going over to Frostbane, they don't have the waves in the right spots. They don't have enough members in the health bars to commit to saving that tower. So it's still all these trades going back towards CSK here. They're able to find that spark to push them forward in this game. And no matter what, the macro plays have been fantastic out of them thus far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's real tough for Frostbane right now because a lot of these waves are pushing against them really, really hard. So they have to constantly play defenses. Frosted Crow still continuing to pressure Downfall up in this top lane here. Might have gone a little too far. Downfall getting the stun here, gets the PTA as well, but like it's just going to be a scuffle back and forth as both these folks are now able to heal a whole lot. Hold on. Do we have a volley bear coming through? No, it doesn't look like it.
Soul Keeper.
Not yet. Okay, there's going to be a whole lot of damage here. Soul Keeper trying to get in for a little bit more. The rat-a-tat-tat has been popped. Spray and pray, whatever you want to call it. Going to come through, but not going to be able to find any kills this time. So that's an ultimate down for Spark here. As Frosted Crow still looking. Oh no! Oh, the chains! The third Q! He's gonna be able to find the kill, and now he can just dash back over the wall. We didn't even see that whole fight right there, as that's gonna be a whole bunch of damage there. Now, Frosted Crow looking for a little bit more. That's gonna be Ghost TP going down underneath the turret as well. Frosted Crow still tanking it up. They're gonna be able to finish off the turret here. Frosted Crow taking incredibly low. They're gonna use that Polybear ultimate. He's still hanging on by a thread, but it's finally gonna go down. Insomniac looking for a little bit more. Gonna pull him into the Shadow Realm here. Yami no Gemu, give me those star chips. I need to fight Pegasus. He has my grandfather's soul in a trading card.
That's an ace.
Wait, have you not seen Yu-Gi-Oh?
No.
Okay, well, let me tell you, the plot of season 1 is the card game master man must go to an island in the middle of nowhere to go fight a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, to then fight a man in a castle who is okay. We're gonna get a replay in just a second of that fight as I stop explaining Yu-Gi-Oh plot.
I mean, Frosted Crow's just so fed at this point. I mean, that's the main premise of this fight, but it's a really good shockwave from Merciful Crow to turn this back around, give an opportunity to sort of re-engage the fight. But Syndra damage. That's 80% of Jin's health bar gone in an instant, but not yet. Almost able to stay alive, but Insomniac is really big here on this Mordekaiser jungle as well. They've proven to us that they know what they're doing on it, and now with the Baron in their pockets as well, Conduit Spark, sorry, I need to remember what team names are. Conduit Spark are looking poised to end this game pretty quickly here. They're up 9,000 gold. They're just sort of hanging out in base waiting for those items to come through, and they might be looking for a death march at this point. They've got Soul up again for themselves in about a minute as well, so if they need more sparks for them, Hextech Soul's a good way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Hextech. I mean, that's all Hextech Soul is. It's just a bunch of a whole lot of electricity. And yeah, I mean, this might be. I don't like calling things early, but this is looking very bleak for Frostbane here. They're down almost 10,000 gold. This Twitch is super fed. right? They're about to get Dragon Soul. They've got Baron right now. They're going to be able to shove in these waves and make it harder for them to truly contest. And look at how they're already positioning right now. Going to be able to push their vision pretty far ahead, and they got a Death Brush ready to go. I don't
Oh
think this is
my.
going to get spotted out.
This is scary.
Oh, yeah, that's immediate crescendo. Pull, stun, Insomniac picks up a kill, and the jungler is down. This is Houston, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. Jungler down.
It's going to be even more difficult though because they need to try and find a steal first and foremost to even have a chance back into this game. But I'm hearing from the objective bounties here that they are stacking up quite quickly as well. It's 700 gold objective bounty on these epic objectives now. So Baron Dragon, it's become quite the lead for Conduit Spark here. And you know, I think the most BM part about all of it is whenever you use your Sona ultimate onto someone, it makes them do their dance, and Volibear's dance is like really jumpy, I want to
Yeah.
say. So
Yes.
it's just worse because he's just jumping to his death. What we can
Yeah.
jump to the conclusion of is that's a pretty big gold lead for Conduit Spark here.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. It's definitely. I don't know how much else to talk. What there is to talk about here. I mean, up 11.5 thousand gold. The only upside is that they're losing their Baron buff here. Is now Downfall is pulled into the Shadow Realm here. Has to 1v1 the Mordekaiser. Might be able to finally finish off the kill as the rest of the team is pushing super far forward. Prince Momo might have gone just a little bit too far forward. They're the first to fall.
Crow.
Here, the second to fall. Merciful Crow is the next to go down. Enderborn looking for a little bit more. That's going to be the double kill for the Syndra. Here goes Golden underneath the turret, but here comes the curtain call. 1, 2, 3, 4. That comes across, not going to be able to land here. Insomniac is looking for a little bit more. Definitely has the damage, but does not have the HP, as that's going to be the next one to fall here. Look at Merciful Crow. Looking to not be so merciful as they're looking for a little bit more. Frosted Crow coming in here. Just 1, 2. Can they find the rest of the damage? They're not going to be able to grab it this time. Taken incredibly low by the Syndra. That's going to be Soulkeeper coming in, sweeping up that last kill. Look at all these minions coming through, but not yet. Wants to hold on for just a little bit longer. Here comes Ghost EP in from the side, but the Nexus is falling. One hit after another. Half HP. They're trying to hold on for just a little bit longer. Can they stay in the game? The red team is almost down, but Syndra, being the Chad they are, the only person to focus on the prize, gonna be able to help pick up the victory in game number 1 for CSK.
And we came into this saying that, you know, Abyssal Haven, Frostbane, they win this, they've got the playoff situation sorted out. And Conrad Spark said, we're not going to let you do that. We will take fate into our own hands. And by gosh, they did. They did a great job of taking this late game scaling comp and just saying, hey, we can play the early game as well, playing a better early game, finding fights that work on their terms, getting macro advantages off of that as well, and just snowballing the game out of control. And unfortunately for Frostbane there, they weren't able to take advantage of some of their easier to execute lanes and the easy gank setup that they had with the Volibear. It just sort of fell apart after that first blood on top side, though, and it just went downhill from there. Aatrox ended up being a huge carry.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Aatrox being so far ahead and constantly shoving in those waves in the top lane means that Renekton wasn't able to get super far ahead. And, Renekton, who's behind, is not so great. It ends up being almost feeling like not a champion. And that does mean that Insomniac was able to focus the rest of the other bottom 2 lanes, right? The mid and the bottom lane as well, being able to throw some attention into those lanes that kind of needed to scale. And that really helped Conduit Esports Spark here kind of really get that lead that they needed to in this early game in order to propel themselves into the late game, even though the game only lasted about 27-ish minutes. Like it wasn't even like it didn't even feel like a late game. It just kind of ended towards the end of the mid game as we were approaching this point that we were talking about that Conduit was going to be strong. However, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and realistically, they were able to get to almost late game points in the mid game just because of the leads that they were able to draw for themselves, the pressure that was pulled top lane from the Aatrox. We were talking about how Aatrox going down on a 1v3, not even the worst case situation. They bought 15, 20, 30 seconds of time to set up for the bot lane play to make sure that they're able to get a tower off of it, to make sure they were able to push in mid lane, put themselves on soul point. So you lose Aatrox, you get soul point, tier 2's mid and bot lane. It's like this is the best trade deal in the history of ever for the side of Conduit Spark. So we'll see if they can repeat that performance in game 2.
Yeah, we are going to take just a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be in Picks and Bans of game number 2 against Abyssal Haven Frostburn up against Conduit Esports Spark. Don't go anywhere. This is a real important match. You don't want to miss it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Rare Adam. We are pretty deep into picks and bans here as we are getting into Game 2 of Conduit Esports Spark up against Abyssal Haven Frostbane. Now, we have a pretty interesting game on our hands because if Conduit Esports win this, a whole lot of wacky stuff starts to happen with regards to our second, third, and fourth place seeding coming out of Group A here. And man, this is going to be definitely an interesting place to be if you are the folks who need to make that decision, which is not me, which means I'm super excited for this game. Rare Adam, how you doing?
Pretty good. It's going to be definitely interesting once the dust settles because effectively Abyssal Haven Frostbane, if they win, easy. They've got the head-to-head. They've got everything cleaned up. If Conduit Esports win, however, then Abyssal Haven, I believe they need to win next week, and then they have to get a certain game score as well, and then tiebreakers and win times, and everything gets crazy. And I'm just the caster. I don't have the big brain here, so whatever works works. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun for all of our production stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not my job, so it's someone else has to figure it out. I just say the words good sometimes, and. Now, here we go on the for Conduit Esports. They didn't get the Lulu last time. They definitely got the Lulu this time. So they got the Lulu Cog, which is tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. The bot lane duo that is sure to run amok against the enemy team, especially with the sporting a Hecarim and a Nautilus, two characters that do build a lot of HP.
Can be challenging to deal with it if you just drop right into 30 minutes. The caveat of Kog'Maw Lulu is everything before that, and the Nautilus pickup here especially will sort of be pivotal in deciding how this Kog'Maw Lulu works out. The Mordekaiser getting locked in here. Now we know it's most likely going to be Mordekaiser jungle, if anything, but into the Hecarim has a little bit more trouble, I want to say. But on the flip side, Aphelios, one of the AD carries that did get nerfed on 12.5B, still very strong. Still has that agency to become Mr. 200 years, and we'll have to keep our eye on how this bot lane works because it's very snowbally, very much akin to how Game 1's top lane was. Bot lane is now in that situation where a couple too many kills going one way or the other could skew the game.
Yeah, and we've already seen how well the Conduit Esports bot lane can perform on these kind of like long range, kind of late game characters as well, and Kog'Maw definitely fits that bill. I mean, it's also kind of funny that they locked in the Kog'Maw here because this is another AD carry that does have an AP build if they're looking for it. Now, granted, it's definitely a lot different in comparison to AD Twitch versus AP Twitch, but it still is something that, if they wanted to, especially if they don't have an AP threat, they could look into if they wanted, but I doubt that that's going to be the case. They're probably just going to build the Kraken Slayer one more time, go for the full attack speed Kog'Maw, maybe the Gale Force as well, especially with how much dive they have from Abyssal Haven here. And yeah, Veigar, that's the mid laner to pick if you want to protect that Kog'Maw on the back line.
And interestingly enough, we just get bamboozled again because Viego gets locked in. And Viego in solo lanes, very bad. Don't do it. Yeah. If you do it, you better be 18-0 or I will be mad. It's very likely going jungle, so Mordekaiser gets flexed up to this top side of the map, and color me confused if that gets locked in. We've learned not to talk about hovers. Well, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Okay.
Hecarim top lane?
It's got to be Echo top. It's got to be. There's no way this is a laning Hecarim. Hecarim is really good from being able to gank other lanes, right? Like, his 1v1 fighting power has to have him stand inside minion waves. So it's going to be awful against the Mordekaiser. There's no way.
There is a world where Hecarim can win lane against the Mordekaiser if this is Hecarim top lane. And interestingly enough, I would prefer it to the Echo top lane. Echo top lane is going to try and assassinate a Mordekaiser. And one thing specifically for the level 6 mark is if Conduit Spark, Frosted Crow, is able to land that ultimate onto Echo while the Q is on its way out, it will not come back. It is stuck out in the living world, same as if the Death Realm ends, as well as the ultimate gets really funky when you start thinking about the Death Realm. You aren't able to get out of the Death Realm, so sometimes you get pulled into really random places. There was a bug before where Echo would get stuck on the outside part of Mordekaiser's ultimate. Very, very weird. I would prefer to see the Echo go jungle here, purely because I also like Echo jungle more than Echo top lane. But
Right. I
if
mean,
it is the Echo top lane, it may be a little bit more of a difficult matchup. This should decide it as Hecarim top lane here. Yeah.
yeah, interesting for sure. I mean, I'm not a big fan, right? Because Hecarim is a very, very close range champion. He doesn't really have any sort of abilities that allow him to trade pretty close. I guess oh, he's a melee champion though. It's like, yeah, but in order to maximize the amount of ways that he can clear waves, sure, he's got great wave clear. That's for sure. That's for sure. That's for certain, right? But he has to basically be standing in the middle of the minion wave in order to maximize and do well with that. Otherwise, he's like pretty far away in order to do those kind of like sweeps in order to get that damage off. He needs to be pretty close in order to get that damage. And that's where Mordekaiser is really going to punish him, right? A lot of his damage is in that sweet spot, kind of the end of the mace. And that you're basically coordinating where you're going to be as the Hecarim with that with the way that he needs to position in order to farm effectively.
Yeah, I think the main sort of saving grace of what we'll see out of this Hecarim top lane is if they opt to go for something like Ignite Ghost top lane. I want to see Ghost somewhere in there, but you can either go Ignite Ghost, you can go Teleport Ghost, one of those options. You go for a level 1 trade. You go in, you just start auto-attacking this Mordekaiser, you press Q, it's only going to be on a lower cooldown than the Obliterate. You can get your laning advantage off of that. Whether we will see that is the question, because last game, despite them playing very different champions here, Frosted Crow was able to sort of survive the early lane where they didn't have the advantage there as the Aatrox versus the Renekton. They were able to get a couple of items, get a really good back, and some really favorable trades just skewed that lane so far in favor of Frosted Crow that they were able to require a effective 1v3 on that top side of the map. So curious to see how everything will sort itself out this time on this top side of the map, because Hecarim top lane is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I'm just realizing there's champions that are in a whole bunch of different roles, but I think they might have mispicked. Or
Yeah. Or did they? Is this a Nautilus mid lane? No. Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
God.
Okay.
How do you God.
So
I was
is
about
it an
to
Echo
scream
top
from the
lane?
mountaintop. I was about to scream from the mountaintops. It's like, hey, yeah, we just spent all that time talking about Hecarim top lane, y'all. What the heck? You don't need to pick. You don't need to pick in order from the thing. We already know what the order was. It's fine. You don't have to do it. Man, it just threw me off of just being like, why would you send
They wanted to mess
Lux
with them.
support Nautilus mid? Like, why would you do that? Okay. So we have the Echo top lane, we have the Hecarim in the jungle, we got Lux mid, we have Nautilus and Aphelios in the bot lane, pretty standard right there. We love hook champs with Aphelios. Lux is gonna have a pretty. I feel like this mid lane is gonna be maybe Lux favored because she's just much longer range than Veigar and can set up a lot of her combos a lot easier than Veigar can. And then we have a couple of power farmers in the jungle here, but one of them has a significantly much better earlier ganks than the other, and that's Hecarim.
Yeah. And once again, Conduit Spark have sort of this late game scaling composition, but last game we saw them just pop off the map early on. They were able to find advantages, and they were able to snowball the game in the mid game as opposed to the late game. This time around, though, it's a little bit less of an imposing early game coming through from Frostbane, so maybe both of these teams are just going to slow down the pace, take it at their own speed. I'm curious about how this Echo top lane is going to work. Usually there's these picks that sort of come off as a little bit strange, and here we were expecting Echo jungle. It's Echo in the top lane. It's going to be that X factor. It's either going to be 8-0 and prove us all wrong, or it's going to have a little bit of a tough time keeping up with Frosted Crow here. So I am cautiously expecting a solid performance out of Downfall here. I want to see Downfall do well on this Echo, and I think it will be the thing that leads Frostbane to a victory if they are able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it is certainly, it will be interesting to see for sure. I mean, really, Downfall after that previous game right there, like, not looking too great, right? Like, that was a pretty, I'm not sure, like, maybe it came down to the fact that Frosted Crow at the end of that 1-for-1 got the kill and Downfall didn't, right? Secretly gay Pengu getting the first blood there might have been the difference between, that that top lane being more even, right? Because after that first kill, Frosted Crow was still down in CS in comparison to Downfall, but because he was able to come back to lane with like an extra longsword, he ended up just doing a whole lot more damage, and it didn't seem like Downfall was particularly ready for that amount of damage so early on. But that is going to be enough predictions from us. We are going to throw it to just a quick break as we get it ready to get on the rift of game number 1 of Conduit Spark, or game number 2 rather, of Conduit Spark up against Frostbane. We're going to be right back after this. This is a real important game. You don't want to miss it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by Rare Adam. We are on game number 2 of Conduit Spark up against Abyssal Haven Frostbane. AHF is on the red side, CSK is on the blue, and we've got a bit of a level 1 invade here by AHF as they're making their way down.
Sag. They got spotted out.
Bum 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 ba-da-da-dum, da-dum, 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 da-dum.
Yeah,
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
no fun. Or is it? Who knows? They're on another ward now.
Oh, bum 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 ba-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum.
It's okay. Yeah. and then
Every
they're
single
losing.
time the 5-man is just spotted out as a. Every time they're
It just
spotted
looks
out by
more
a
deep
ward.
fried.
Yeah. Oh wait, are they gonna get? Am I gonna have to do it again? I was just doing a goof. I don't want us to get DMCA'd. Come on. Oh. Something downfall's appropriate here. I don't know. Regardless, not able to get that level 1 invade. Didn't really drop a whole lot. Oh no, they did drop some words there. They just didn't seem to do it. So yeah, they have a whole lot of vision in this kind of in the enemy jungle here. So this is gonna be really good to know where Viego is. So even though they didn't get any kills here, that's actually some really good information because Viego, very much a snowbally jungler.
Yeah. Of note, though, the ward in the mid lane specifically spots out exactly where Secretly Gay Pengu's going to start because they didn't walk over that ward and Echo did. It generally means that, or you would think that the Hecarim started on that bottom side of the map. So realistically, there is still an angle for Insomniac to potentially look for an invade. Granted, there is a ward on the red buff as well, so they will know what happens. Really just depends on when these wards expire and how quickly these two junglers clear, because that will sort of determine if anyone is spotted out, if at all. So regardless, we have Echo top lane here. Wanted to point out they did go for Dark Harvest instead of what some laning Echoes do in terms of going Electrocute or even going Conquer if you're playing top lane here. I'm curious to see how this plays out, because Echo's a champion that you take Dark Harvest more so because you want to get that extra damage when you're jungling. Electrocute much better in lane, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, Frosted Crow already flexing their muscles up in this top lane here. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, if you pick Dark Harvest as a jungler, you're going to see a lot more targets under that kind of health threshold for you to really be able to capitalize on it, right? And in the top lane, you're really only going to see Frosted Crow up there, right? And Mordekaiser has a whole lot of healing baked into their kit here, so you're probably going to see them at a very low HP bar. Not as often as you like, because we got a gank in the bot lane here. That's going to be a stun coming across. Good hook on the Insomniac here. Actually, he's rooted up, taking incredibly low. Ignite is ticking, but now they're looking for the last bit of damage. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Frosted Crow's taking incredibly low. This might be the first blood going out here for Secretly Gay. Pengu is going to be the one picking up at the top. Picking up first blood up in the top lane here as a repeat performance from game number 1. But this time, not going to make it a 1-for-1.
And well played to get that kill there on the Mordekaiser. We talked about how they aren't going to have too many opportunities to proc that Dark Harvest. I believe they were able to get one stack there, but my goodness, what is going on bot lane?
Oh, yeah, Insomniac was trying to look for a cheeky kill in the alcove there. It looks like they were spotted out by Ghost TP and then spent a little too long charging their stun around the corner here. So they're going to spend a little bit of time in the bot lane, maybe a little bit longer than they'd like, and now they're going to return to the jungle and maybe get this full clear.
And I think that full clearing would be the best option. But looking at this replay, you can see just a little bit too far off from Frosted Crow. And Downfall, I believe, was able to get a Dark Harvest stack there. So that's the best part of that gank as a whole. Of course, being able to get the kill is also pretty nice, but it's going to mean that Echo's able to back and pick up a Blasting One compared to just the Amplifying Tome. Still going to be a little bit of an interesting laning phase for Downfall against this Mordekaiser, because something I wanted to mention is they're not going to have low health burst. They also have the shield, right? So even if they are low health, they can prevent that Dark Harvest stack from going down with the shield of bot lane.
Ooh, no. Ghost TP, I think, flashed into that stun right there. So now they're looking for a little bit more. Insomniac's going to be able to pick up the kill here. Going to turn into a Nautilus. Great hook, great root. Can they find the last bit of damage? Absolutely. Soulkeeper in the bot lane is going to pick up a kill for themselves, and Insomniac is going to get one as well. 1-for-1, 2-for-0 in the bot lane.
Yeah, extremely well played from Insomniac to return to that bottom side of the map. Knew that they both had flash available and still opted to go for the play, but it ends up working out because Soul Keeper able to follow, Prince Momo able to get a really good polymorph down as well. So overall, extremely strong play coming through from this bot lane once again. And we mentioned how this bot lane can be a little bit of the snowbally lane this time around. Downfall is going to have to make some massive plays if they want to snowball the game from top lane this game as the Echo. But bot lane, if this Kog'Maw gets an extra kill or two, like it could be game from there.
Looks like Insomniac is looking to fight secretly gay Pengu inside the own jungle here. The red team looking to, both teams are answering here. Real good answer by the bot and the mid for each team respectively here. So there's not going to be a whole lot either way. I think Insomniac still ends up getting the big chicken there, but had to use their smite. So it looks like they're going to spend this time resetting.
And it's a really strong recall specifically for the Kog'Maw here, who gets the man, what is it? The Vamp Scepter? There we go. Basically full build, if you want to talk about that lane. It's able to continuously heal up there. Sort of like Aurelia in that sense, except not Aurelia, and is ranged and blows up and scales really well for the late game. But regardless, it's going to mean that laning phase is a little bit
safer.
It's
kind of like Aurelia.
Yeah, it's kind of like Aurelia. Like,
except they're, you know, a caterpillar that vomits up their missiles and doesn't have swords and isn't a human and definitely is not from Ionia and definitely is not a top laner, but you know, exactly like Irelia.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, we'll go with that. I mean, I'm the one who brought this up. I don't know why Aurelia is a topic of conversation.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm just pushing buttons. Everyone, we're at a very good caster. A lot better than I am. I'm just goofing around. Insomniac, meanwhile, fighting Downfall in the river here. Might be able to find something here. Downfall actually taken incredibly low. Has that. Ooh, yeah. Gonna use that ultimate right there. Gonna dive in, but End Reborn is gonna definitely turn that around easy peasy. Prince Momo in the bot lane gonna give themselves a shield. Well, Soulkeeper might have walked a little bit too far forward. That's a flash? Question mark? Double kill for the Nautilus? They ended up getting that kill. I have no idea how. Okay, the Kog'Maw passive is gonna get them that kill. That was something. That was I'm confused. Meanwhile, on the top lane, gonna be able to get a top lane. Yeah. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away.
Really interesting play on the bottom side of the map, just going full aggressive, but it's a kill going back over to But Not Yet here. Oh, never mind, more fighting.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be able to pressure Insomniac as much as possible. They saw the mist right there as Enderborn is going to be in a whole lot of trouble here. Below HP, Merciful Crow has a whole lot of long range, but doesn't have a whole lot of mana to work with here. So that's, yep. Enderborn is going to be able to get out of there, and they're going to be able to live to tell the tale.
And very interesting sequence of events just across the map.
Yeah, here we go.
Soulkeeper has the lethal tempo proc, but just walked melee range.
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to give analysis, but I can't analyze that. That's just,
yeah.
I don't know what happened there in the top side. Just the three-man squad pulls up. Of note there, the Echo is sort of playing into the Veigar's cards a little bit by using that ultimate to try and re-engage. If you're looking at the enemy team here as Downfall this game, you have to use your ultimate reactively. And while that's not always the best case scenario for a lot of different situations, you need to use it in reaction to a big ultimate being used, such as the Heartbreaker or the Veigar ultimate as well. You need to use it then as opposed to using it proactively there. And it was punished at the very beginning of that play. But bot lane, once again,
yeah, Soulkeeper might be... Oh, never mind. I said they were going to be safe, but that Onslaught of Shadows comes right in and going to be able to sweep up the kill right there. But not yet, taking a bunch of damage from the turret here. Prince Momo getting a little bit greedy, but here comes Veigar and Viego in from the side. Going to flash forward, going to juke it out, going to fake them up just a little bit. Baby Cage comes through, a whole bunch of damage on a secretly gay Pengu here, but not going to be able to find a whole lot. Insomniac is going to become a Felios, get a couple of these minions here, walk away. Turns out being a 1-for-1 bot lane.
1-for-1 is a little bit better here for the Aphelios this time around because it's not Soulkeeper picking up that other kill, but it's still Veigar. You got to be careful about that stacking. Thus far, Enderborn has done a great job of stacking up the passive, and might be able to get more.
Ooh, yeah, that's a stun coming in from Insomniac as well. The Heartbreaker comes through, the last bit of damage. Enderborn is going to be the one picking up the kill and going on a killing spree. 3-0-1 now in the mid lane.
And this is starting to get a little bit scary because Veigar, with that phenomenal evil power, will continue to get stronger and stronger. And much like how Kog'Maw is as a champion, after you get 2 damage items, you can go a tank build afterwards as Downfall.
Downfall having to flash here. Here comes the stun. Here comes Frosted Crow in from the top lane. That's going to be the ultimate from Echo here, but Downfall's got nowhere to go. Yami no Gameu. Frosted Crow is going to come in huge here, pick up a kill for themselves. And now Soulkeeper in the bot lane might have wandered a little bit too far. The depth charge comes in huge. Soulkeeper taken incredibly low. That's going to be the exhaust coming down from Prince Momo here, but not yet. Is going to be taking a whole bunch of damage. That's going to be the return kill from Kog'Maw here, but it's a 2-for-1 in the bot lane.
I'm confused into how this bot lane keeps playing out, because Soulkeeper, with the Kog'Maw Lulu, you just expect him to play back in the lane, play a little bit safer, but just ends up walking forward with the depth charge, maybe trying to get in range to get the kill with the passive afterwards. It's just a really interesting trading pattern coming through from both of these AD carries in a lot of ways. This Nautilus has sort of made this lane a little bit more challenging for the Kog'Maw Lulu, as just I think Kog'Maw is supposed to be walking towards his own tower there. I'm not 100% sure if that's the play, but still ends up getting the kill with the passive, so it's not the worst case scenario, but it's just some really interesting lineups there in terms of where they want to go.
Yeah, Merciful Crow. Oh no, got stunned up on the end of the baby cage there, which gives Enderborn just enough time to get that last bit of damage in order to secure the kill with the ultimate. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Soulkeeper has been playing interestingly, should I say, with this Kog'Maw here and just kind of ignoring Ghost TP. It makes me think that they're just tunnel visioning too hard on taking down the Aphelios, right? Like, oh, don't DPS the tank is what every single person in like bronze and silver says. Stop DPSing the tank, hit the AD carry instead. It's like, sure, that is what you want, but sometimes when you're the AD carry, you just have to hit the closest target you got, and sometimes that's just the tank. For Kog'Maw, that's not the end of the world. Is Insomniac? Ooh, okay, they secure the Dragon Heartbreaker over the wall. They're safe.
Well played to get that dragon and get out as well, but yeah, as you're saying, it's that was not 200 years of gameplay design there, but yeah, Nautilus being in that front line, Nautilus has so much damage early game, and this is a complaint that a lot of people have had with tank supports, is that Leona, Nautilus, they do a crap ton of damage early game. You're gonna see it again.
Yeah, depth charge comes through, and before this Hecarim even shows up, Soulkeeper is already pretty far down in the HP bar now. Secretly, Begay Pengu is looking for Prince Momo on the back end here. Might be able to pick up the kill as End Reborn is going to become unstoppable, trying to get away from the Lux Laser, going to come out on top. Insomniac here looking for Merciful Crow here, going to get snared up. The Heartbreaker's already been used. They need to get closer, but they've been kited so well. Ghost TP is going to keep them inside melee range here, looking for the last bit of damage. Oh, they get the reset. That's huge. Insomniac now looking for a little bit more. We were talking about the amount of damage that Ghost TP has. That's going to be the Heartbreaker and double kill. Viego comes out huge, clutching out the last bit of HP you can't kill. The Ruin King this time round.
And as Dora the Explorer told us, go Viego, go. I think I missed a letter there, but regardless, Viego doing Viego things there, showing us who the real 200 years of gameplay design champion is, getting those resets, and just really well played from Insomniac there to recognize their potential with the healing that they have. Conquer fully stacked, you've got the Divine Thunder, you're going to get that extra little bit of burst healing, I want to call it there, against Merciful Crow, and despite looking really grim there, no, Insomniac doesn't have to worry about that mana pool, but just looking back at this fight once again, as you said, yeah, just the Kog'Maw blowing up super early on into this fight, and End Reborn kind of getting taken down quite low from the Nautilus and the Aphelios damage there, really zoned out of this fight, and Insomniac sort of on a solo mission at this point. This is your time to shine as the Viego. The root, the slows, the constant crowd control coming through from Ghost DP. I think he should have just saved a little bit of it for the last moment, because this heal right there is just enough, and then you're able to get the kill in return here. Insomniac knowing how to play every champion in the game and showing it off there.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me right there is that kind of luck shield at the end there. I was, uh-oh, Frosted Crow in the top lane. We've seen this before. We've seen this play out. Uh-oh. That's a 3-0 Frosted Crow and an 0-3-1 downfall. That's not looking too good.
It's gonna be rough because, as we said, downfall on this Dark Harvest Echo top lane. It's not a champion that can function well from behind. Even Echo Jungle in that sense doesn't really function well from behind. But Insomniac is 4-0-1-7. This Veigar is 5-0-2 here. You still got the late game capabilities.
Yeah, that's gonna be the stun immediate. Oh no,
Oh,
downfall. Gonna
bye.
have to immediately go back to the summoner's platform, popping the ultimate in order to get away. I mean, they saw it coming. They were just like, all right, well, I guess we'll just throw down if we can watch really quick. Oh, okay, we're gonna repeat the top.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, just no mana for ultimate there. That's the main thing. It is 100 mana to use that. You've got to be incredibly careful. A lot of the times, Echo players will just use their W to get a shield so that they're able to push in those waves. It's a super cheap ability, 30 mana, but oh,
Yeah, Enderborn finally is at that point where Vigar is just that much harder to kill. Juking around secretly, Gay Pengu here
oh,
might actually be able to find some. It was really close to as well. Secretly, Gay Pengu, oh my gosh, was getting juked back and forth by the little Vigar there. Is now Insomniac looking for him right here. Downfall taken incredibly low here. This might be Insomniac's time to grab a kill in the Echo, but it looks like they just have to back away here as now they're gonna take their sweet time. You know, they can now run rampant through the enemy jungle, but I don't think there's a whole lot to take on this bottom side here.
yeah, it's going to be different. Like this bottom lane has just been sort of the bounce house for a lot of kills. It's been sort of the catalyst, the sort of showdown arena, you want to put it, like the Beyblade Dome, you know? You let them rip down there, and Kog'Maw dies, Aphelios dies, everyone dies, and then all these soul laners who are just coming in are the ones that end up cleaning it up. It's like the last Beyblade into the Battle Royale ends up winning it all, which is absolutely unsurprising, but it's been a story of sort of two sides of the map here. This bottom side has gone decently well for AHF this time, as Frostbane have been able to get this Aphelios into a win condition scenario. However, you look across the map and there's a item and a half now complete on this Viego. There's more than an item and a half, like an item and 3/4, I want to say, onto the Veigar, on top of all of the AP they've been stacking with a phenomenal evil power. We'll see how many stacks are actually on the Veigar in the next little bit here. But
no, okay. Insomniac able to dodge around a bit here. Going to throw out the ultimate in order to try to get away. That's the Lux laser coming across. Not going to be able to secure the kill, but it is going over to But Not Yet, which is not ideal for CSK, especially at this stage with Aphelios getting pretty fed. 5 and 5 might not be the best stat line, but they are still up in CS and up in kills as well. As this is going to be the fight continuing here. Baby Cage comes down to the Ghost EP. Keep in mind, there's no ultimate on the Vigar just yet. Here comes Frosted Crow in from the side here. Ghost EP taken incredibly low. They're on the front end of this match. Frosted Crow flashes forward, going to be able to pick up the kill here. Flash forward by Soulkeeper as well. And no, But Not Yet might have gone a little bit too far into this fight. Does not have that red gun anymore. Merciful Crow's now the next one to get here. Soulkeeper looking for a little bit more. The root does not stop the auto attack train this time. And even though they lost their jungler early on in this fight, they were able to turn it around 4v5, picking up 2 kills for themselves as well. 1 for 2. They're going to grab a Dragon to boot.
And going to be able to pick up this very important third dragon for themselves, or third dragon of the game here. And it all starts with Viego sort of in a really awkward situation, and Reborn as well. Using that ultimate extremely early onto Secretly Gay Pengu means that you start to run out of damage if you are Conduit Spark, but Dragon gets started up, and this is a little bit ill-advised, I want to say. They try and find the pick onto Prince Momo, but Echo's not able to get into that parallel convergence, and all of a sudden Frosted Crow in that front line has had a solid game, has the Demonic Embrace online already, is going to be really tanky, really difficult to take down, and then Soulkeeper just... This is this ideal fight. You have your lethal tempo stacked up, you have the Lulu just free shielding and free buffing you up, and oh my goodness, back into the action.
Yeah, Frosted Crow looking for a little bit more here. Might have been caught out, but they're still on the hunt here. Downfall, Merciful Crow, Secretly Gay Pengu, Ghost TP, the whole team, nearly the whole team is here. Vigar already starting off huge. Insomnia picking up a kill for themselves and a reset as well. They're going to have to try to get away, but they're very squishy right now, but that's going to be End Reborn picking up a kill for themselves. Frosted Crow is going to try to keep Ghost TP out of this fight. There's the Baby Cage. Can't go a whole lot of anywhere just quite yet. Frosted Crow becomes unstoppable as they pick up another kill. Once again, Insomniac goes down early, but the team is able to sweep up this time 3 for 1. In favor of CSK.
Yeah, Conduit Spark, once again, they're able to make these mid-game fights go their way, and basically straight out of the... or actually during the replay, but not yet. That's tough. Soulkeeper able to land at that living artillery, and then we saw the fight that sort of exuded afterwards there. It is Insomniac getting a little bit too aggressive and getting taken down, giving over the shutdown, but now this gold is sort of transferring over to never mind. I'm gonna ignore anything I was about to say. What is Mordekaiser building?
Yeah, that's a Moonstone Renewer. That's that is certainly an item that you can build in League of Legends.
Okay, I will try to explain this the best I can. This is usually how analysts on Twitter get clowned or something, but my idea is that I have no clue.
Yeah.
I
mean,
baffled,
the idea here, I guess the idea here is that Mordekaiser heals themselves and is then able to then heal Kog'Maw, I guess. And then their heals are just, and shields are just that much more powerful on themselves, and just like, I guess they're able to just keep like healing over and over again. So we're gonna get a replay of this one right here. Downfall already, I mean, look at this. Already a good, great start.
It's Downfall just really struggling to have any impact this game. I think that's the main thing. These parallel convergences have looked good if they were thrown like half a second earlier, a lot of the cases. And this is sort of the ideal fight scenario for a team that has a Veigar, a Mordekaiser, a Kog'Maw. You want to get them into the jungle. You want to get them into these corridors where you can apparently spread your Mordekaiser heals to everyone, as well as make sure that Kog'Maw has the space and the sort of the limited mobility of his opponents to sort of maneuver around, drop these ultimates down, get these auto attacks down as well. So Conduit Spark overall have done a fantastic job after a little bit more of a rough early game this time around in just turning everything back on into their favor.
Yeah, that's going to be the start of this fight as well. Viego is going to be able to pick up a kill for themselves as well, but just as I thought it was going to be a team fight in favor of CSK, holy moly, they turn it around real quick. That's going to be, I mean, without the Veigar and the Mordekaiser there, Frosted Crow still looking for something here. Pull him in close. That's a whole bunch of damage already. Going to be rooted up, looking for that Yami no Gemu. Yeah, Merciful Crow walking all the way there. Might be able to pick something up here. Going to grab some stats for themselves in their favor. But now they're going to have to turn this around as best they can. They're healing a whole lot, but they don't do enough damage. And Report is here. Going to pop that Predator. Immediately pop that ultimate. They've gotten 2 kills for themselves. This is definitely going to scare off AHF away from this Baron buff now that they only have 2 members here.
And it ends up being a 4 for 2 for AHF, which could have very well just been a 3 for 0 and evacuate the area, play it safe. But really good turnaround from Frosted Crow and Enderborn to get themselves back in a fight in favor of them. As my goodness, Veigar does a lot of damage, and by the looks of the build, is not building tank at all. Refuses to build that. This is going to be full AP Veigar. They will one-shot you with a Q ult later.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the next item to be built here is going to be that that Void Staff, that magic penetration here. So, you know, if you have built any MR, which taking a look at the enemy team isn't a whole lot. I think the most they have is just kind of incidental MR from that Locket of the Iron Solari that Nautilus has. So this Veigar is going to be very tough to deal with. Already is tough to deal with. I mean, you really only need flat AP at this point. Like, I don't think you need anything else. And real close to getting that deal with the Lux ult there. But secure the smite with Insomniac there. They're going to be able to pick up this dragon and put themselves onto Soul Point for Infernal Soul. And now they're marching their way over to Baron.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to take this Baron down super easily as well, because Soulkeeper's Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw shreds through these objectives like butter, and of note here, still building another attack speed item here. Interesting, because usually this is the point where Kog'Maw start to go this tank build, but I mean, we've gotten Moonstone Mordekaiser already, so I'm not expecting, I don't know what to expect anymore in terms of builds, because I guess I don't know anything. What am I but a Twitter analyst here? Moonstone Renewer Mordekaiser are going to end up being 100% win rate if the side of Conduit Spark keep working at the pace that they're going at. But AHF, they still have some avenues back in.
Yeah, I think this build just might be a little too cute. I think the idea is there, and it definitely works out in theory, but half of the time I feel like your team just, I guess they just need more of a tank in the front line, that they don't exactly need more damage, right? They have Kog'Maw and they have Veigar. We're 25 minutes in. Like, you don't need Mordekaiser to be dealing damage. You just need him to be in the front and surviving as long as possible, right?
You just need Mordekaiser to be a bungus for you. Be a tank in that front line. Exist. and
Yeah.
we will find out if they're going to get tanky enough. I mean, they've got the Spirit Visage now, so it's really just all about that healing, and technically they are tankier than a normal Mordekaiser build, which is just heal tank, but oh!
Ooh, over the wall, looking for the steal. Not going to be able to get it this time. The red team is still in position if they want to fight. Frosted Crow here taking a bunch of damage, immediately healing to full. And then, yeah, they're marching their way into the mid lane here. They got some waves nearby that they can start to shove out. They don't need to reset just quite yet. They're still sitting pretty good right here. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. We got the 4-1 split. Let's see how it works out for Conduit Spark here.
They're just going to start pushing as a 4-man set here, send Frosted Crow up to that top side with the teleport to split open the map and try and get a couple of inhibitors off of this Baron. That's their main goal at this point. They still do have to be careful of this Aphelios. They're sitting on 2.5 items now. Technically has the item advantage over the Kog'Maw right now, and we know what Aphelios can do if they're if they're strong, and really predicated on getting those levels, getting those stat upgrades for themselves. It's going to be a scary fight if Aphelios is left untouched, but realistically, if there is a Veigar and a Diego and even a Mordekaiser, Aphelios should be getting at least 1 or 2 of their attentions.
Yeah, and oh no, 1-2 punch, and Reborn is going to be the one picking up the kill on the top in the mid lane. Is now Frosted Reborn looking to fight secretly Gay Pengu inside the Shadow Realm here, taking a oh my god!
What is that feeling?
Absolutely no way! That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Okay, you know what? Clip it. Put it on Twitter. That's hilarious. Frosted Crow goes from no HP to full HP after 1 full button press, but the fight has not stopped just yet. They're still looking for more. Insomniac is going to floor, but Soulkeeper is tanking the turret. You got to get out of there. He's going to go down. They're looking for more. Frosted Crow still looking for that. Still looking to fight here. Taking incredibly low. There's the shield. Where's the heal? Where is it? Oh, he had grievous wounds on him, so he didn't heal as much as we'd like. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, and they're going to be able to pick up a second inhibitor here after this push, and that's a real good spot for them to take. I think this is kind of the story of this kind of game here. Even though Insomniac goes down, a pretty big member of their team, they're still able to turn it around and be successful in these team fights. Soulkeeper could play, possibly a little bit farther back, but that's a thing for future Soulkeeper and not right now Soulkeeper.
Soulkeeper stayed alive. That's the important part, right? So,
yeah.
If you don't get punished, it didn't happen. But
yeah,
speaking of trying to punish and not punishing, what was that heal? I guess first and foremost, we're just going to get the outplay button. 200 years. Ha ha ha. They need more years than that. Can we just watch this heal? I want to see how much.
Can we slow-mo the second that he heals? Can we get like a real nice slow-mo the second that he heals?
What?
Boom.
1800 health.
Okay, no, this build is good. This build is good. I don't know what we were talking about earlier. This is a good build.
Wolverine, if you ever see this build, start pushing this on Twitter. I want to see this in PG, okay? This is the sort of stuff we need to see in LCS. We need to see Mordekaiser top.
Yeah. As we have the starts of the fight here, Ghost TP gets a good hook onto the backline here. Depth charge is going to knock Soulkeeper into the air. But Soulkeeper getting that wild growth here might be able to stand here and auto attack for just a little bit longer. Look at Frosted Crow on the backside here. Has to fight 1v1 versus that's going to give them a whole bunch. Oh, watch. Oh, no. He didn't get a big heal one more time. But it's still 1v3 as the rest of the team peels into the bot lane. Looking for this Echo right here. Soulkeeper still really healthy coming into this fight here. Downfall looking for a little bit more. Throws off the artillery. Can they get it? 1, 2, walks towards him. You don't want to do that against the Kog'Maw. He's still going. Oh, they walked away from the dragon for too long and they didn't get the soul. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, it's an interesting sort of focus of events there. They really wanted to take down Downfall, I think, more so because they wanted to let minions have time in the base, but ends up not being that correct of a situation because it's soul. If you get that Infernal Soul for yourself, you're getting a bunch more damage for you. I think if you get soul, you get that kill onto the Echo as well. Despite them still having that ultimate, they didn't want to go back into that fight, but it's a really interesting sequence of events, and it all starts with Frosted Crow just getting caught out a little bit here. And the main thing is the Lulu taking a bunch of damage and Insomniac just being out of the fight to start by falling down, it brings a really interesting angle to this fight where Frosted Crow wants to try and stall them as long as possible, but on the flip side, they're just sort of monkey chasing after Downfall here, sort of
Yeah.
yakety sack style, and Prince Momo can't stay around because they have 100 health, but I think at this point, you just let Downfall go and you turn over towards that dragon. You've still got a lot of health on this Veigar. You've still got a lot of health on this Kog'Maw. You could potentially take down the jungler and look for a secure for yourself. But unfortunately, Downfall ends up being the downfall for Conduit Spark.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really messy play for sure. I mean, they chased so hard to find someone who was already dead. Like, Downfall is gone. Like, they don't want to be in the fight anymore. Just go back and get the dragon. The Infernal Soul is so much more valuable than whatever gold you're going to get off of the kill onto Echo there. But not yet. Fighting Insomniac here, looking for a little bit more. Might be able to find the kill onto... Ooh, not this time. But not yet is going to be the one picking up the kill. But we've seen this happen once before. Frosted Crow pulls Ghost TP into the Shadow Realm here. You can't escape the Mordekaiser. He's going to gain those stats real easy peasy. Like, is this going to be Hecarim diving onto the backside here? But immediately gets outplayed by that Veigar ultimate. Now they're trying to turn it around. Merciful Crow trying to survive for just a little bit longer. The Lux Laser comes across, but not going to be able to get the kill this time. Aphelios is back to full HP, but does not have the right gun combo that they're looking for here. But it does not matter because they're able to get the kill on the Veigar regardless. And now they're underneath turret. Double kill for the Aphelios. He's going to be able to maybe find some more tanking up Nexus turns, but they're not going to be able to get the kill this time. That's going to be a huge win for CS Spark here. Yeah, this is game number 2 going over to Conduit Spark here. And now they've done the impossible and are now making so much more work for the TOs of this tournament as the... Oh, here comes... Okay, Ghost TP looking to save for just a little bit longer. Yeah, there we go. That's the Nexus going down, and I hope you're not a TO for Zero Gravity Gaming, because guess what? We got a whole mess or Group A going on. Let's go!
Yeah, but overall, a really solid series from Conduit Spark. I mean, game 2... they were able to embrace the fiesta and they came out on top. Game 1 was a lot cleaner though. Very clean macro decisions, a lot of really strong picks, and they were able to execute. And I think that's the performance that will scare a lot of other teams going into playoffs, where they are poised to be sitting up in that winners bracket now, even if they go into losers bracket with whatever nans happen next week with all of the scheduling and who ends up being in tiebreakers and who wins what, all of that stuff. It's going to be challenging for any of these other teams who are either in the top half or the bottom half to face up against Conduit Spark if they play like they did in game 1. Game 2, they end up winning. Yes, it was Fiesta. We got Moonstone, Mordekaiser doing crazy things, but
Yeah.
that game 1 performance was really what I want to focus on because it was an extremely clean performance. It was very cut and dry, just macro masterpiece coming out from them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Conduit Esports, once again, coming out on top. I mean, this was a really, really good play by them for sure. I mean, I think this game started off like very similar to game number 1, but ended up turning out a lot like game number 1 too. There's a lot of the similar things that happened. Like we had 2 kind of farming kind of mid laners that ended up popping off. You know, we had a late game, we had another late game mid laner for Conduit Esports one more time, and this time it was there to protect the Kog'Maw. I mean, I don't think we ever saw like a baby cage come down to truly protect the Kog'Maw, but I feel like I either I missed one or it incidentally did, but I feel like a lot of times they were using it pretty aggressively as well. Mordekaiser in the top once again. Like there was a carry top laner for Conduit Esports that was able to get this kind of pretty decent lead early on, even though they fall behind early. They were able to very quickly turn it around. So yeah, this is really, really well played by Conduit Sparks for sure.
And I think that, as I was saying, you know, it's a scary performance for any other team in the league right now because you don't want to be facing up against that game 1. That game 1 from any team at this point is going to be really scary because it shows how well polished they are able to play their macro game. You sort of want to get the game 2 performance from either one of these teams if you're going up against them in playoffs, because that's really where you make or break at that point. And of course, if you're in that lower bracket, those games are the ones that you're scared of because it can go either way. You don't want to lose your playoff hopes off of a fiesta that just goes wrong.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is not to say that like still that like Conduit Spark doesn't have some holes to fix here, right? Because Soulkeeper was playing really, really fast and loose with that Kog'Maw game. Like going into melee range against a Nautilus, flashing forward a whole lot. Like a lot of times, even just standing still and auto attacking in these games. And while unpunished, against some better teams, will definitely not be able to get away with it. That's my takeaway from this game. Conduit Spark wins this easy 2-0. They have a very strong performance, but they still have some things to fix if they want to be able to compete with some of the best teams in the league.
And overall, there should be some. I think you can take that game two performance and clean it up just a little bit. But I like the
Mhm.
picks that they had. Their draft was really clean. Having that flex Mordekaiser pick is going to be something that you have to be mindful of moving forward. And at least for the side of Frostbane, there were some really strong points that they can focus on. I think that bot lane playing aggressive into that cog Lulu, you just executed a little bit better. Maybe that game ends up going differently. And overall, I think that uh, the Aphelios performance in game two 90% of the time would win you a game.
Yeah, for sure. But with that, we are going to call it a night. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Zero Gravity Gaming. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, Rare Adam, my co-caster, and MXL, our producer for this evening, who has been groaning ever since I mentioned the fact that he has to probably be the one to work with all of this seating placement. Uh, thank you all so much for tuning in. GG's to our winner of this evening, Conduit Esports Spark, and good luck in your future as we continue on to week number 7. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next match. Bye bye.